You think you've got my number figured out, a motive born in drought and brevity. And if I'm not the soul of your design, I blatantly decline your remedy. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine. I wasn't always just a single shade, a palette full of gray in reverie. And I can burn it brighter than the sun. I have a golden gun inside of me. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else. And if I fall behind, ignoring all the signs, and if I lose the fight, I still rage against the night. Don't box I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine.
Welcome to the Monday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Monday. Welcome, everybody. John Lithium, Kirkenstein's Monster, Moaneb, Soul Life, Ladybug, Hermit Horologist. Welcome, everybody. Thank you all for being here, even though it turned out to be a little bit late. So I apologize. The stream had to be moved an hour ahead. So unfortunately, that means it won't be as long as normal. We're still going to go through the content that we need to go through to the best of our ability. Thank you all again. And I apologize for having to push it back an hour. I thought I could make it to the normal 5, but it didn't turn out that way. Redmond Berry, Astral Calico. Welcome. Stay safe, everybody, from those wildfires. Better late than never, true. Let's go. No distractions. Welcome, Heat. This Thursday, this Thursday there might not be a stream. There might not be a stream. We'll see. I'm pretty sure there won't be, but I'll keep everybody updated on the Discord. Obviously, the biggest news is Sydney Sweeney being a registered Republican. True, I didn't even know that, but I'm sure it's very relevant and important. All right, folks, let's get started. Thank you all for being here once again. If you want to support the channel, there are many different ways of doing so, folks. Keep doing what you're doing, liking the stream, share, subscribe, follow us here on Twitch. Follow us here on Twitch. If you want to support the channel directly, check out the merch store, tip, Substack. Join the Discord, folks. Lots of cool people. And we do movie events. Check out my live show on this space, Tuesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Appreciate the support. Thank you all for being here. Let's get started. Sweet's getting flamed for being in a commercial. As I heard, that's a job. True. I mean, like anything, like I don't know the context, but usually, without even seeing it, usually it just amounts to like straight up misogyny. Without even noting the context or what commercial or what she said or quite frankly my limited information on who she is, I'm pretty sure she's a musician. It doesn't matter. Like it's a pretty safe bet to say like, oh, this all just is gonna boil down to misogyny, as with the right is. Oh, she's an actress. Okay, gotcha. I don't think she wrote and produced. No, I think she appeared in a commercial. We need to concentrate on Taylor Swift's dating history instead. I'm not listening to all those songs. It's a jean commercial. She mentioned having good jeans or something like that. Oof. That's kind of cringe. Or like, I don't know, that seems kind of a weird line to have, but whatever. Maybe they tried to do a double entendre there that didn't go that great. But whatever. I mean, flame the company. I agree. Great curl clutching opportunities there. Yeah. Pretty sure Sweeney Todd didn't write any. Sweeney Todd. Sydney Sweeney didn't write any of that. If we're talking about Sweeney, it's super dog whistly and gross. Yeah, like that. Well, I mean, again, she didn't write that, but the I didn't see the commercial, but that's kind of a weird double entendre. That's a kind of weird that's a weird selection. You didn't have to write that. Whoever made the script for that commercial. If we're talking about Sweeney, it's super dog whistly and gross. Well, the Blue Eyes Part 2. I don't know. But I think he brings up a good point. The heat should be on, pun. The heat should be on the actual corporation, really. That's culture right now. The company's falling trends for that almighty daughter. Yep. That is true. That is very true.
I know right here.
I do.
Illegal, brother.
You need to stop kidnapping people off the fucking street.
100%.
Stop! You guys are kidnapping people off the fucking street. You guys have no conscience.
Yep.
If you're doing something right, take your fucking mask off then. Yeah, you
A bunch of cowards.
That is a stunt.
So, in case anyone didn't catch, what she was screaming about, she was screaming about her children who are in school because, you know, that's where you arrest the criminals, right? You arrest the mothers, the motherly criminals who are showing up to pick up their children at school. And if the trend and look smells like white nationalism, so be it. It is. Yep.
Are you serious right now? Maybe you guys should just go ahead and record me, bro. This is me. This is my job. You're not going to intimidate me. We still have a First Amendment in this country. Shame on you, fucking Nazi.
What is he doing? He's a fucking hard-working boy. What the fuck now? Hey, chill. Hey, we're taking this motherfucker. I'm giving this. I'm not doing shit, dude. Chill. I'm not doing shit. Hey, what the fuck, dude? You can't be doing that shit. This is my civil right. I can fucking record you if I want. Hey, yo, what the fuck? Look. Put it in the car.
Yeah, look at this.
You're illegal citizens, you fucking pieces of shit.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah, criminals, you know, who are at work, obviously. This guy's a Walmart employee. Wilshire Boulevard and MacArthur Park. I forget if I told y'all, but there's a girl in the community whose uncle was taken and her family took in her cousin. Heartbreaking. Yep. That's unfortunately becoming very, very common.
That's just a tiny sample of what's to come in this country because the Department of Homeland Security is currently gearing up to create a de facto fascist police state that'll treat all of us like we're subjects of some sort of a foreign occupation.
I mean, we're kind of already there, right? Even in Minnesota. Yep. Like just by virtue of being in a blue state doesn't necessarily guarantee your safety. It does help, of course, because like how meaningful how meaningfully how willing your state governor and state legislature are going to help the federal agents. It does matter. It does matter, but like, I mean, if they want to come in, they're gonna come in just like they did in California, and just do stuff anyways.
And the reason
Crossing over to blue state got me my reproductive rights back at least. Yep.
why things are about to get much worse in the near future is because funding for ICE just exploded thanks to the passage of Donald Trump's big bullshit bill. Now, we're going to discuss what that's going to look like in practice in a little bit. But first, I want to talk about one thing that they're doing to overcome a major obstacle pertaining to recruitment. Because the morale for members of Trump's ICE Gestapo is reportedly in the crapper, as the New Republic reports, because the brown shirts involved expected to actually go after hardened criminals and human traffickers, as opposed to, gardeners. But thanks to the imposition of strict quotas by Donald Trump and Stephen Miller, they feel like they're being forced to go after the low-hanging fruit to make up their numbers, namely mothers picking up their children from school and families outside of courtrooms who've had their cases dismissed. And of course, they're also going after U.S. citizens as well who happen to be brown. Now, this low morale has reportedly led to some considering quitting altogether. In fact, a 33-year-old ICE attorney quit recently after his conscience caught up with him, I guess locking up innocent people in makeshift concentration camps where their human rights are abused. It does take a mental toll on the few brown shirts who actually do have the capacity to feel empathy.
It should, because I mean, like, first of all, like, shame on you for not realizing what this was, and taking that job so quickly. Two, the pay is never going to be worth what that's gonna do to you. I mean, unless you're one of the sick freaks that get off on this, there's no amount of money that's gonna, okay that psychological damage. Edgebox, welcome. They are bad and they should feel bad. Yep. I thought I saw Jeff Waldorf post something that they got rid of the quota at some point. Did they? Welcome.
But most of them do not. Most of these small dick fascists seem to relish in the pain and suffering that they're causing because it makes them feel like they're big and powerful, and they've never felt like this before. They've always been losers. So for them to be able to lord over communities and treat people like shit.
I mean, like, them taking, like, let's say they took out, because I'm not aware of that, so it's entirely possible that that they did. Let's just take that as fate. Let's just take that as true. I mean, how likely is that to change that behavior if they don't have to meet quotas? Right? Would they still be going after workers? Would they still be going after people at their immigration courts hearings? I actually want to know if that has slowed down since that.
They get some sort of a thrill from that. But that doesn't mean that there aren't downsides to the job. Abducting innocent people and violating their civil liberties does have a downside nonetheless. It leads to social blowback, hence why these Nazi pigs feel inclined to cover their faces much like the Ku Klux Klan does. And when you see the increasing amount of pushback the Gestapo is getting from good people who are appalled by overt fascism, it might be a turnoff for other potential fascists who would otherwise want to join. But if you have this massive budget all of a sudden and you plan to put 10,000 new ICE Gestapo agents on the streets to terrorize even more people, how do you entice them into joining your Gestapo?
I mean, like, let's be honest. The overwhelming majority of people that are working for ICE, that are working for this modern Gestapo, they're there because they want to be there. At this point, like, if you're an ICE agent at this point in time, you're there because you want to be there. Okay, your conscience is gone. Your conscience has been yeeted out into the stratosphere. There's no moral compass going on there. There's nothing. Just like the Nazi concentration camp guards. Yeah, that has morality, humanity, has left the chat at this point. They don't want to be called names? Never mind, according to Google, Google is just pretending the quota didn't exist. Gotcha. Thank you for clarifying. Because I was actually interested if that had gone through, and number two, if that had actually made some kind of impact. But yeah. It's not like you joined up because your daddy and your daddy's daddy joined up, right? Like the people, yes, exactly. The people that are there now are there because they want to be there. Like they're there because terrorizing undocumented people it makes them happy.
If right now it doesn't seem like that's a very good career choice.
Terrorizing people is part of the job perk. If you're an ICE agent now, I would recommend, and you have some sort of a conscience, if you're an ICE agent now and you have some sort of humanity left, you should probably leave now. You should probably leave now, because repercussions for all the legal crimes and the civil rights violations, the crimes against humanity, people are not going to forget that. And while the big fish may skate, like Trump, like Miller, they may skate on these human rights violations, but the people on the ground, the lower the lower fish, the small fish, you guys might not get so lucky. And there will be legal repercussions for the crimes that you have committed. The guy who lost his job as a result of the Jubilee can look into that. Yeah, that's a perfect fit for him. Also, new Cenk Jubilee. He went on Jubilee. I highly recommend watching React videos and not giving that channel one click. Oh yeah, we're not doing that. Nope. Not only that, not only is it just like on principle you should not give that channel clicks, but also if you're a streamer or content creator or like React Andy, just be very careful. Just be very careful. Because Jubilee likes to do copyright strikes, so it's definitely best to not give them any views, and B, just to protect yourselves. If you find clips of that online on different social media platforms, like I don't know, Blue Sky or Twitter or whatever, that's one thing. That's one thing, but I'm just saying, like, as Heat said, just be aware and try not to give these people clicks. They don't deserve it. That's what they're there for. They aggressively go against anyone using clips. Yep. That guy did apparently posted losing his job in January. That tracks. That tracks way before that. And then finagled everybody to give him tens of thousands of dollars. Ground level news: platforming Nazis is weird behavior. Yep. Especially in a setup where like we're pretending that we're dealing with we're pretending that we're dealing with equal ideas that are worth exploring and debating and going back and forth and just sussing out different ideologies. But no, that's not what we're doing here. It's just straight up. Jubilee absolutely serves the interest of the far right. 100%. 100%. I mean, case in point, how many of those like little micro Nazi influencers got a boost from that because a lot of them were little influencers. Jubilee needs to do 12 leftists on versus JOP. Hey, that's interesting, Krayleo. Why haven't they done something like that? It's not very common. When was the last time Jubilee did something like that? It's always like one vaccine expert versus like 20 vaccine skeptics. Very scummy. Grand Theft Autobot, welcome. 20 atheists versus 1 Christian. Yeah, and that didn't even end up being the case apparently, because we don't know if Jordan Peterson ended up if Jordan Peterson is a Christian or not. He's definitely a Christo theocrat. He's like a Christian theocrat. Charlatan who often peddles fascist ideas. And he's a slippery little snake. Yeah, but atheists can be massive PSs as well. Yeah, exactly. Being an atheist doesn't make you like, I don't know, like a lefty or progressive. It just means that you are not of a, you don't believe in a specific religion, right? Or have like a specific spirituality. You're just atheist, right? Or anti-theist, another way of putting it. But yeah, that's a great point that you guys bring up. When was the last time you saw Jubilee like do something like, one conservative versus 20 leftists, or one conservative versus 20 like progressives or something like that? When was the last time that actually happened? Yeah, we all know what side he's on. Governor of Texas authorized arrest of Dems. Yeah, we're going to talk about it. I posted a pretty disturbing video about loosening regulation on religious talk in the workplace that just came out. Oof. We're quite sidetracked as it is. Yeah, it's true.
Well, you offer them policies that the Republican Party traditionally have dismissed as socialist. As Politico reports, DHS is recruiting new Gestapo members by offering them $50,000 bonuses for signing up, as well as student loan forgiveness and posters. Yes, you heard that right. Posters, specifically these, where they feature prominent fascists from the Trump administration and say defend the homeland.
Yeah, like I think we went over this this part here. This is very fash-coded. This is very, very fash-coded. 100%. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. I don't know why it's not showing up, but thank you.
Join ICE today. That's some Starship Trooper shit. Now, look, they had me at $50,000 in student loan forgiveness, but the posters, in my opinion, that's the real pull. But listen, that's not all, because in a press release by the DHS, they say that they're also offering 25% law enforcement availability pay, administratively uncontrollable overtime, and enhanced retirement benefits. So if you're an aspiring violent criminal, you'll not only get to indulge in your sociopathic tendencies legally, you'll also be handsomely rewarded for doing so. And it's crazy because I thought that Republicans and the Supreme Court said that you can't cancel our student debt. Because remember when Biden tried to cancel $10,000 to $20,000 for each of us? Republicans, including ones that had their PPP loans forgiven entirely, mind you, threw fucking hissy fits. And then the Supreme Court shot it down and said, you can't do that. But all of a sudden, I guess that this socialist policy is okay so long as it furthers Trump's fascistic goals. Why does he get to do it, but Biden couldn't do it? Interesting, isn't it? Now, again, I would ask how we're going to pay for 10,000 new brown shirts, but we're not. As you all know, the big bullshit bill adds trillions of dollars to the deficit and the debt. So after we squeeze, more money out of the poor by taking away their healthcare and food stamps, they're just going to finance the rest by putting it on a credit card. It's just, it's some bullshit. And I hope that all the 2028 Democratic Party contenders take note, because Republicans saying you can't do something means they can do it, but you can't. So they should absolutely do everything they can to alleviate our suffering.
Yeah, 100%. Like, if there's anything to be learned here, again for the umpteenth time, is that this idea that you can't do something like, I don't know, raise the minimum wage. You can't do something like I don't know, try to give paid sick leave to workers. You can't do something like try to get health care for people. That's no longer like a valid excuse. Not that it ever was, but this is there's no hiding behind any sense of institutional hurdles that Democrats pretend that exist. That's my point.
Cancel the remainder of our debt, cancel medical debt, give us Medicare for all. Look, I don't give a shit if the next Democrat pulls down their pants and takes a shit on the Constitution. It'll be less disrespectful than what Trump is doing right now. So if Trump is able to wield ultimate power by acting like a de facto dictator, then the next president, if they're a Democrat, they should be able to do the same. But earlier in this video, I alluded to what this massive ICE budget will mean for ordinary Americans, and comedian Adam Conover did a really fantastic job putting it all into perspective so you can really visualize what we're going to see in the near future. And he explains that it is going to feel like we are living in an entirely different country, and these changes may be irreversible, which is the worst part.
This is how much we were spending on immigration enforcement before Trump signed the Triple B. This is how much we're spending on immigration enforcement now. We are about to direct an ungodly and unprecedented sum of money towards immigration enforcement and border control. This taxpayer money, your money, is going to be used to fund...
I play too many video games. I think that's a reference to Wolfenstein, right? Spoiler alert, they won't.
A massive internal army devoted to racially profiling, arresting, and deporting law-abiding residents of this country. And I don't think we are ready for how this is going to transform the cities in which we live and America as a whole. This spending amounts to a complete reorientation of the entirety of American law enforcement to be against immigrants.
Under this bill, by 2028, you are talking about spending effectively 80% of all federal law enforcement dollars will go to immigration enforcement.
I mean, this is insane. 80% of our law enforcement dollars are going to be spent prosecuting people for committing civil immigration offenses. You know who that's great for? Criminals. If you want to commit tax fraud or some light larceny, now's the time, because the feds don't give a shit about that anymore. The FBI even deprioritized white-collar crime this year to focus on immigration. So the next Sam Bankman-Fried is going to be Sam Bankman-Free, just so we can lock up a few more of the people who pick your strawberries. And this new enforcement regime...
Yeah, you know, the real criminals. That's right, who's best friends with a bunch of, with a shit ton of criminals? The president. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Enough said right there.
...regime could last forever, because the explicit goal of this bill is to create a bureaucracy of repression that is almost impossible to remove. Here's former acting ICE director Josh Sandweg.
We're going to see an ICE that it is going to be hard for any future administration to shrink it, and its capacity to deport will certainly be at the highest level it's ever been in the history of the United States.
This is nothing less than a structural change to American government. It injects harsh anti-immigrant repression into the very DNA of our governmental system and makes that one of its fundamental goals and mechanisms.
And he goes on to explain how different it feels to live in LA because of the ICE Gestapo. He says that he hears helicopters flying overhead all the time. Members of his community have gone missing. And I would highly encourage you to watch his full breakdown, which I'll link to down below, because it's important to prepare ourselves for what's coming, because it is coming. It's already here. It's just that it's going to get much, much worse. But the silver lining, I guess, is that communities absolutely do not appreciate Trump's Gestapo terrorizing their people.
Yep, they're gutting consumer protections across the board. Yep. Mothers picking up their kids from school. Yeah, the real hardened criminals. Hardened criminals, like moms picking up their kids, like we saw earlier. We're all to be let's just say, yep. Yeah, it's not gonna be it's already pretty bad. But like I don't think that we have fully seen how bad this is gonna get until we start feeling the effects of all these funding rollouts, which I imagine, we'll see. I don't know how long it takes, but I have a feeling we'll know when we see it.
People and California Republicans whose districts have been affected by this, they are now terrified that they're going to pay a political price for all of the chaos that's unfolding in the midterms. And the reason why they're so afraid isn't because, they're worried about human rights abuses or anything like that. Of course, it's because the ICE Gestapo is deporting so many people that it's affecting certain industries in these Republicans' districts. And if there's anything that capitalists care about, it's not people, it's capital. So in a report for Politico, Ben Fox and Melanie Mason report, amid reports of masked agents sweeping into neighborhoods in tactical gear, public sentiment is shifting nationally against the president's immigration policies, and some long-suffering Republicans here are scrambling to stake out a middle ground between supporting Trump but not the raids that are rippling through their communities and threatening key industries. Quote, I don't dismiss for one second that the fear in our communities is real. It is, said State Senator Suzette Martinez Valladares, a Republican who was the lead author of a recent letter urging the administration to focus on criminal immigrants. I've had constituents on both sides articulate that it's heartbreaking, heart-wrenching what's going on. These concerns emerge as employers become increasingly vocal about losing workers and polls start to show slipping support for Trump's immigration policies. Republicans in California may be uniquely attuned to the potential ramifications of an immigrant blowback, a warning sign for the party across the country. Now, I don't want to give you the impression that there's this...
Hakeem and Charlie furiously writing letters. Trump's deregulation is going to bring back quack medicine and snake oil. Yep.
Groundswell of objections from California Republicans, because that's not the case. Out of 29 total state Republican lawmakers in California, just 6 have expressed concerns about the ICE Gestapo now that it's affecting industries in their districts. But they are cognizant of that fact. Like, they know that deportation of immigrants threatens industries in their districts. And that is something that they will pay a political price for, and they know that, which is why they're choosing to speak out now. But aside from the cynical capitalist angle, these Republican sociopaths know that they have to do their best to pretend to care in order to placate their constituents who are appalled at the fact that they're watching their neighbors get kidnapped by fascist thugs in masks. Like, you can't just be cold to that, even though you feel nothing. You have to pat them on the heads and say, yes, I know that what you're seeing is scary. I agree with you, even though deep down they couldn't care less. But, out of the hundreds of examples I could play for you of human rights abuses, and we've talked about them on the show before, of the ICE Gestapo, I just want to share the story of one individual. His name is Adwa Hathaleen. He's a Palestinian peace activist and English teacher who was detained in San Francisco and deported back to the West Bank, where he was subsequently murdered by an Israeli settler. And that settler, mind you, was sanctioned by the United States government, but Trump got in and removed those sanctions. And there was a reason.
Jesus Christ, man. That was... That is not the Jesus Christ. That's so freaking infuriating and sad, man. Another way of putting it is the Trump administration sent this guy to die. The Trump administration killed this guy. Let's be 1,000% here. The Trump administration killed this guy. This administration is just starting out. Yes. Remember, folks, we're just 7 months, right? Just shy of 7 months into this thing. Right, we're what? Well, like almost a couple weeks, I would say. We're just a couple weeks out from 7 months. Folks, we haven't even crossed a year. Oh boy.
For those sanctions because he went on to murder an innocent Palestinian man in cold blood. Had he not been deported, he would still be with us today. That's a fact. Now, as for why he was deported, he wasn't given a reason. A lot of these people are not, but he was doing an interfaith speaking tour that was organized by a synagogue in California. So perhaps he was targeted for his political beliefs, right? Trump's administration has targeted individuals like Rumeysa Ozturk and Mahmoud Khalil who speak out for Palestinian human rights. So odds are, him preaching empathy led to his ultimate demise, unfortunately. He's a hero, but he's just one of tens of thousands of people, including some American citizens, who've been sent back to a country that's hostile or unfamiliar to them, or who's currently being extrajudicially detained in a concentration camp.
Yep. And how many presidents are held accountable after their term? Yep. The answer to that is 0, actually. 0. But it has felt like 10 years. Yep. Welcome, I'm just me. How many did the Trump administration kill the first time around with their incompetent bumbling and even downright adversarial response to COVID? The massacre continues. Yeah, 100%. 100%. And yet James Carville wants us to sit back and relax while this is happening. Yeah, I can't wait for James Carville to be politically irrelevant, like that whole dynasty of politics of third way Democrat liberal politics needs to go, man. It really does. It really needs to freaking go, man. Yeah, James Fossil needs to take a break from politics permanently. Like, he should just take a step back for the rest of the time. I mean, like, he's done enough. Okay, that's just take a step back. Yeah, retire
somewhere where they're being abused. And like, this is happening to citizens as well. I want to stress that. An American man, he's a citizen, was deported to Haiti, where he's now just staying in a homeless shelter because he doesn't know anyone in Haiti. He doesn't know what to do. And he's just like, we're just leaving him there. Like, what would you do, as an American, if you're watching this and you were sent to some random ass country? You wouldn't know anyone. It would be unfamiliar to you. Your life would be over. It'd be ruined, right? This is so much cruelty that it's inconceivable. And listen, there has to come a day where all of the people perpetrating these crimes against humanity are punished. So
yeah, it has to happen. Like, if all of the if nothing comes from this, I mean, like, that's GG. GG, everybody. Like, that's it. We're cooked. Like, what? That's it. If there's nothing that happens after this, that's it. That's all she wrote, folks, as far as the American experiment. I guess I'd be happy not to be in the US, but that's not everyone. Yeah, I mean, it's one thing, like, yeah, of course, if I had the ability to, I'd be expediting my exodus, but it's one thing to just be, thrown in a plane and in a few hours you're just not home anymore. That's all can't be for nothing. Yep, I like my things and my house and my stuff. I'm a creature of habit. I just need a couple things, all right? Like, look, if you're gonna yeet me out of the country, I just need a couple things, okay?
The talk of abolishing ICE, in my opinion, that is insufficient. I just have to assume that you cannot be a Democrat these days unless you support abolishing ICE, and anybody who's not on board, like, they're persona non grata. The brown shirts, though, who carried out these crimes against humanity, like, their agency can't just be abolished and then we move on. They have to be prosecuted for.
Yes, and like that's exactly what I was saying earlier. Like the if you're an ICE agent, if you're an ICE agent, okay, and you have some kind of moral compass left, to the degree it exists, just by nature, but just by default of you being an ICE agent, there will be a reckoning. There has to be. You cannot commit these crimes against humanity and there not be some repercussions. People are surprisingly resilient, but not to diminish how bad this is. Oh yeah, I don't doubt that. So Life, welcome. I just got here. What did I miss? Did we win yet? Oh yeah. All we do is winning. All we do is win. Some of us are aroused. Look, is Chuck Schumer in the chat? I was not aware that Chuck Schumer has jumped in the chat. I was not aware of this.
They're illegal and unconstitutional behavior, and their victims have to be paid reparations. There has to be real justice. Any Democrat not on board with this shouldn't even be considered a viable contender in 2028, because after witnessing so much violence and abuse, we can't just let it go. There has to be retribution for what's happening now, because it's unacceptable. If we don't put a stop to this and hold the people doing it accountable, it's going to happen again.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you don't, these are crimes against humanity. These are blatant violations. Like, we're not. These aren't small things that like are unambiguous. These are clear and open violations of civil rights. That there's camera footage. We just watched it live. We literally just watched it live in the first 10 seconds. And videos like this are everywhere. Yeah, just following orders is not a defense. I mean, look at this.
You need to stop kidnapping. I know right here. I do. You need to stop.
That was a U.S. citizen. Remember, we went over this video. That was a U.S. citizen being told you have no rights here.
That is insufficient. I just have to assume that you cannot be a Democrat these days unless you support abolishing ICE, and anybody who's not on board, like, they're persona non grata. The brown.
Yeah, 100%. The fact that they hide their identity is proof that they're aware of how effed this is by police. Yeah, 100%. And they know, right? Like, they know somewhere in there, they know that it's wrong. Not maybe they don't feel like it's wrong on a level that they accept what they're doing is wrong, but they clearly know that it is wrong in the sense that, hey, I could be held accountable for this. I could be prosecuted for this. So yeah, they do know that it's wrong. Yeah, we need icebreakers. Exactly. That is such, like, there's so much gas to cook with regards to how to rally people up against this. Melt the ice. We need icebreakers. Abolish ICE. Demask the fash. No, I don't know. That one's kind of... Demask... Well, I mean, it kind of works. Demask the fash. The Iceman goeth. Deport ICE. Welcome, Saris.
Shirts, though, who carried out these crimes against humanity, like their agency can't just be abolished and then we move on. They have to be prosecuted for their illegal and unconstitutional behavior, and their victims have to be paid reparations. There has to be real justice. Any Democrat not on board with this shouldn't even be considered a viable contender in 2028, because after witnessing so much violence and abuse, we can't just let it go. There has to be retribution for what's happening now, because it's unacceptable. If we don't put a stop to this and hold the people doing it accountable, it's going to happen again.
Yep. 100%. 100%. Like, it can't be that we just let this go. Like, we're not talking just like just regular crimes here. This is, and just to be clear, like, this is also beyond parties, beyond the team sportsification of politics in this country. This is about human rights. And this just cannot, Mike Figueroa is right. This just cannot go unanswered. The cynic in me feels like the people up top, like Trump, probably won't see any repercussions. I would want nothing more, because of course, at the end of the day, people like Trump, people like Miller, people like Tom Homan, those people should absolutely be prosecuted as well. But usually they go after the small fish. In any case, Mike's right. Fighter of the night, man. Master of karate and friendship. Right? Or something like that. I don't know if I got the lyrics right. It's been a minute since I've listened to that song. We have fun here while the country goes to hell. Yeah, you got to. That's right. More fascist shit. Yep. That's all there seems to be nowadays. This is the story that Ladybug was talking about. I actually saw this and queued that up earlier today. Arrest warrants issued for Texas Dems who fled the state. This is in response to the Democratic members trying to block the redistricting, if I'm correct. Greg Abbott on Monday afternoon today said he ordered state police to find and arrest Democratic lawmakers after the state house issued civil arrest warrants through though state and law enforcement is restricting to making arrests in Texas. The latest attempt by Abbott to compel Democrats back to the Capitol, escalating a standoff that began when 50 Democrats fled the state to delay votes on the redistricting map that will give Republicans 5 more congressional seats. Exactly, this is exactly what I was referencing. Arrest warrants for Dems who fled but not Cancun Cruz. Nope. The story is scarier. This might be the end. This is definitely not great. I mean, what are we gonna do on the national level? I believe if I remember correctly, and somebody in chat can fact check me, but I believe we were told when they're starting to arrest Democratic members, this is state members, but I mean I would say that they're still, the political opposition to the Republicans, right? Right? We're using that term loosely, but it does apply here. When they start arresting opposition, like that's the red line that supposedly these Dems at the federal level gave us, and I think that this should be, because if they can do that, who's to stop other Republican states doing the same thing? And then does it really matter at that point? If enough Republican states do what Texas is doing, I mean, it's kind of effed at this point. No justice, no justice. Hey, thank you. Welcome, wonderful folks from the No Justice channel. Thank you. I believe this is a YouTube raid. Fantastic streamer from across the pond. If you haven't checked out any of No Justice's videos, I highly recommend to go to the channel. If you're on Twitch, it's twitch.tv/NoJusticeMTG. If you're on the Twitch side. Never mind the Republicans who fled rather than deal with Epstein files. Yep. If the special session has an end date, then Dems can return for the regular session and perhaps flee again. I mean, like, they should, because this redistricting stuff is nonsense. But now there's no real incentive for them to even come back because they're going to arrest them. It's the latest attempt by Abbott to compel Democrats back to the Capitol, escalating a standoff that began when 50 Dems fled the state to delay votes on a redistricting map that will give Republicans 5 more congressional seats. By fleeing the state, Texas House Democrats are holding hostage critical legislation to aid flood victims and advance property tax relief. There are consequences for dereliction of duty. Yeah, dude, that's the issue. That's the issue, right? Yeah. Critical legislation for flood victims is the issue. Let's not talk about the redistricting, giving your party 5 more seats. It is a civil offense. Fascinating it doesn't start with the monetary fine as prescribed by law. I mean, law be damned, I guess. Can they be arrested when they return for regular session for what? Having fled the state? There's a there's a law that can compel them to go to the Capitol, right? By fleeing the state, Texas House Democrats are holding hostage critical legislation, yada, yada, yada. This is nonsense. This is bullshit. Sorry, folks. This is BS. Abbott added that he ordered the State Department of Public Safety to find, arrest, and return any member who has abandoned their duty to Texans. The order will remain in effect until all missing Democrat House members are accounted for and brought to Texas Capitol. DPS officers are state law enforcement agents, meaning their authority ends at the Texas border. If lawmakers are found within Texas, DPS can detain them and escort them back to the Capitol. Democrats left late Sunday to try to stall a vote on President Trump's led proposal to redraw districts ahead. This is a excellent way to phrase this, because it's so important to notate or to lead with this is a President Trump-led proposal, i.e., the President of the United States asked for this. He asked to make sure that the state legislatures gave him 5 more seats in an attempt to hold on to power. If red states start jailing Dems, then blue states start jailing Republicans. What is next? I mean, that's what they should do at this point. Dems with balls and the feats to carry them. Smartest game of hide and seek. But after they return, arrest won't be necessary. No, the arrest order is to find them and grab them and then yeet them back to the Capitol. Seth Evans, welcome. Oh, I don't doubt it. I don't think the Democrats would do the same. I'm saying they should. Democrats left Sunday to try to stall a vote on the President Trump-led proposal to redraw the districts ahead of the 2026 midterms that could net Republicans up to 5 seats. The Democrats face a $500 fine for every day they break quorum. Democrats say the redistrict map is illegal, voter suppression of Black and Latino Central Texans, and a threat to American democracy. Lawmakers who left the state appear unfazed by the governor's threats to remove them from office. He's trying to get sound bites and has no legal mechanism. Yeah, I mean, I would say that it's not about whether he has legal mechanisms or not. It's about what he's willing to do, right? Like, we're no longer in a world where legal mechanisms matter. They're gonna send Dog the Bounty Hunter after them. They clearly acting like they don't need Democrats' votes. Kind of piggybacking off this story, and we'll keep up with this. I think that the Democrats should hold and not return indefinitely until they drop this redistricting stuff. I think that that they should hold the line and not cave. Yet another Supreme Court case that we're going to have to take a look at here. This also has to do with redistricting. The Supreme Court on Friday expanded the scope of a Louisiana congressional redistricting dispute that has been pending for months by ordering a new briefing on the legal question that could further weaken the landmark Voting Rights Act. Little by little, folks. Little by little, decision by decision, it's happening. The court issued an order asking lawyers to address whether, in seeking to comply with the 1965 law that protects minority voting rights, Louisiana violated the Constitution's 14th and 15th Amendment enacted after the Civil War to ensure black people were treated equally under the law. If the court rules that the state did violate the Constitution, it would mean states cannot cite the need to comply with the Voting Rights Act if they use race as a consideration during the map drawing process, as they currently can. So yeah, this is going to upend the way we do redistricting. Rick Hasen, an election law expert at UCLA, wrote on his election law blog that the order appears to put constitutionality of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act into question. That provision bars voting practices or rules that discriminate against minority groups. Yep. The Supreme Court's 6-3 conservative majority is often receptive to arguments that the Constitution is, quote, colorblind, meaning no consideration of race can ever be lawful, even if it's aimed at remedying past discrimination. Right, see, and this is a problem, because by doing this, you kind of are making it so that it can be interpreted that way. Like you're pretending that the Constitution is supposed to be colorblind, meaning everything has to be applied equally. But that's not how it works. That's not how this is going to play out. They're arguing that they want to remove that consideration because they want to district in a way that is discriminatory based on race. In 2013, the court struck down a key provision of the Voting Rights Act in a case from Alabama and further weakened it in a case from Arizona in 2021. The justices heard arguments in Louisiana case on more technical, less contentious questions in March and was originally expected to issue a ruling by the end of June. Even then, the constitutional issue loomed large. The new order did not indicate whether the court will hear another round of arguments before issuing a ruling in the case. The Louisiana map in question, which currently in effect, includes 2 majority black districts for the first time in 2 years. For the first time in years. Sorry. It's like putting your fingers in yours and going, la la la, I can't see a racism or here. Right, but like, yeah, exactly. Exactly correct. The complicated case arose from litigation over an earlier map drawn by the state legislature after the 2020 census that included just 1 black majority district out of the state's 6 districts. About a third of the state's population is black. Civil rights groups, including the Legal Defense Fund, won a legal challenge arguing that the Voting Rights Act required 2 majority black districts. But after the new map was drawn, a group of self-identified non-African-American voters led by Philip Calais and 11 other plaintiffs filed a lawsuit saying the latest map violated the 14th Amendment. As recently as 2023, the Supreme Court reaffirmed the Voting Rights Act in a congressional redistricting case arising from Alabama, but conservatives raised questions about whether key elements of the law should ultimately be struck down. And they will continue to chip away if they can. All right, folks, I think we have... Well, we actually... I think we can play this before we go. I wasn't sure if we had enough time, but I think we can. Can we annex Texas? No, annexing means absorbing Texas. I don't want that. You mean boot them from the Union? Today's whole theme has been about the ever secede. Yeah, that's if the secession is them choosing, right, to leave. I don't know, whatever. Boot them. Boot them from the U.S. server. Long before the talks of union splitting up. Who knows? But it's not looking great. It's not looking great. Yeah, today's theme is our democratic the democratic institutions that exist, to the extent that they exist, which is kind of it's kind of laughable at this point. I talking about the Electoral College and the Senate it used to be, it feels so quaint now. It feels so quaint now. We're talking about forcing forcing lawmakers back into office. We're talking about Supreme Court decisions that are destroying the Voting Rights Act. And now we're talking about plans to finagle the midterms. Nadia, welcome. The warning I got was the Republicans were going to go full Nazi. Yeah, I mean, here we are. I think we talked about this actually incidentally on the Discord. Here we are. No doubt about it. The American Fascist Party. Yes. A few weeks ago, the Republican election, I posted a video about 12 nations of America. For anyone interested, it's not a political thing, more of a cultural dive on the Discord. Nice. Texas is on my birth certificate. That's all I have to do with the place. A few weeks ago, Republican election officials in Colorado began receiving unsolicited calls and texts from GOP consultant who said that he was working with the Trump administration on election integrity. In a text to one of the officials, consultant Jeff Smalls indicated that he was acting on a request from Stephen Miller, which all of this tracks, by the way, the White House Deputy Chief of Staff. In a phone call with another clerk, Smalls said that he was coordinating with the White House and Justice Department to implement an election executive order signed by the president, recalled Justin Grantham, a top election official in Fremont County. Now, can you imagine if there was a story about a Democratic president who is coordinating with the Justice Department to implement election executive orders? That would be wall-to-wall coverage. Like the Republicans would lose their mind at the inkling of this happening. But I mean, crickets. Like, there's not much talk about this. And when Trump does it, I guess it's okay. When Trump and the Republican Party do it, I guess it's okay. Grantham and Carly Copes, who oversee elections. By the way, one of the last steps in the or points in the 14 points of fascism is rigged elections, folks. That's literally the 14th point. Both Grantham and Carly Copes, who oversee the elections in Weld County in Colorado, Northern Colorado, told CNN that Small made a specific request. Would they give it third-party access to election equipment? Why? Wouldn't that be like grounds for investigation? Both declined. Not only was that a hard no, I mean, you're not even going to breathe on my equipment. The outreach, and this is wild that they stumbled upon like the one person who was like, nah, fam. The outreach to the Colorado clerks is just one of a flurry of recent federal actions launched by the Trump administration and groups aligned with the president. While the White House distanced itself from Small and his allies are collecting vast amounts of voter data and working to change around the ground rules for next year's midterm, often by invoking federal government authority. Next year's midterms hold an enormous stake for Trump and his opposition. Next year's midterms hold enormous stakes for Trump and his opposition. Democrats need just to net 3 seats in the House to flip control from the chamber. A Democratic-led House could block Trump's legislative agenda and launch investigations of the president in the second half of his term. Samantha Tarazi, the CEO for nonprofit Voting Rights Lab, which has closely tracked these state developments, believe that Trump is gearing up to use the power of his office to interfere with the 2026 election. Yeah, this is not a joke, folks. This is very much. This is not to be underestimated. This is not to be brushed aside. They are going to use whatever they can to fix, to put the fix in before the midterms happen in 2026 next year. I gotta bounce. See you all next time. Thank you, Kirkenstein. Which started as an unconstitutional executive order, marching orders for state actions regardless of its fate in court, has grown into a full federal mobilization to seize power over our elections. White House spokesperson Harrison Fields said Trump is fighting for election integrity. Like, see, this is I've said this, time and time again. But what election integrity? Whenever somebody tells you that this is about election integrity, where is the evidence to suggest that we even need to have solutions about this so-called problem? It doesn't exist, okay? Where is the evidence that we need to deal with election integrity? Besides the fact that it's being commandeered by Republicans for them to be the ones that are doing the shenanigans. This talking point about rigged elections and election integrity is being flipped on its head so Republicans can use that as an excuse for their rigging of elections. They're the ones that want to do that. They're the ones that want to put fixes in for the midterms. I presume for all future elections going forward, I have to assume that this is the game plan. That's with all the unicorns. Trump is fighting for election integrity and will keep doing so, despite Democratic objections that reveal their disdain for common sense safeguards like verifying citizenship. Yeah, okay. Again, listen folks, anytime that a Republican tells you, a Republican lawmaker, whatever, tells you that this is about common sense safeguards to have election integrity, ask them how many cases have you found that has made this a national issue that is flipping election results, that is plaguing our election systems. Ask them for the evidence of that. The answer to that is already, obviously, it doesn't exist. We know this. This has been investigated. This has been we've already done this song and dance, okay? In fact, we did this song and dance in 2016. All elections, okay, that the United States has had, as far as we know, as far as we're able to keep track of, the election crimes like voter fraud or election fraud have been statistically irrelevant. To the extent that this has happened, it is statistically irrelevant. Yeah, gaslighting at its finest. There are plenty of Republicans that voted more than once, but that's it. Yeah, and like how many? Like seriously, how many? I can literally, I can probably count the amount of people that were arrested, probably on one hand, really. JK, welcome. Gerrymandering named after Elbridge Gerry, the 5th Vice President and Governor of Massachusetts of 1812, who approved new district boundaries designed to enhance Republican control of state offices. Free and fair elections are the bedrock of constitutional republic. Notice how they use that term, and we're confident in securing a ultimate victory in the courtroom. Yeah, okay. This is 1984 stuff, okay? Because number one, they don't care about the Constitution, okay? They don't care about free and fair elections insofar as it helps them maintain power. That's it. That's where it begins and ends with them. That's where the Constitution begins and ends. That's when free and fair elections begin and end with these people. It's a means for them to consolidate power. Okay, do you think that these people actually care about the Constitution, about the 14th and 15th Amendment? Do you think that these people actually care about freedom of speech? Do you think that these people actually care about the civil rights? Do you think that these people care about elections? Not really. It's only like a tool. They will drop that the moment it becomes useless to them. I thought it was a fruit. Redistricting who can access election machines and sensitive voting software has grown ever more important to election officials in recent years, following the voting system breaches in states like Colorado and Georgia. Trump allies had sought access to machines. Yeah, by whom? By whom? The Republican Party did not exist within Elbridge in their lifetime. Neither did the Democratic Party. I mean, there was like its predecessor. I think before all of this happened, it was like a Democratic Republic Party. Yeah, it was a Democratic Republican. That's right. That's right. That's who it was. Yes, he was a Democratic Republican. I mean, these are quite frankly, these are just names, to be honest. The Democratic Republicans had continuity with the Democratic Party, if any whatsoever. The Republican Party was entirely de novo. Gotcha. Trump allies have sought access to the machines to find evidence that could back up the president's claim that widespread fraud marred the 2020 election, but election watchdogs and some Democratic election officials say activity by Trump and aligned groups since his return to White House has raised the fear of broader effort to reshape elections. Recent actions by this administration and its allies include Trump signing an executive order in March that sought to force states to require proof of citizenship to register to vote and take enforcement action against states that accept mail ballots after Election Day. Federal judges have blocked parts of this executive order, noting that the power to regulate elections rests with the states and Congress, not the president. The RNC pushing to obtain voter registration records from states. On the day Trump signed the executive order, the RNC sent records requests to 48 states in Washington, D.C., seeking information about how they maintain voter registration lists. And the RNC has sued New Jersey, home to a closely watched gubernatorial race this fall, alleging officials have failed to respond to its request for voter data and documents related to voting machine audits. A person for the New Jersey Election Division declined to comment for litigation. The Justice Department, asking more than a dozen states in recent weeks to provide voter lists, explained their procedure for removing potential ineligible voters, or discuss entering into information sharing agreements to help the agency root out election fraud. Again, what election fraud? This is to expand and to concentrate power. That's what this is. The demands range from seeking copies of voting rolls in political battlegrounds such as Michigan to a broad request in Colorado to provide election records as far back as 2020. Gerrymander comes from salamander because of the shape of the districts. True. Republicans in Texas are undertaking a rare mid-decade redistricting following entreaties from Trump. We talked about this. The Republican-controlled House in April approving the SAVE Act, which mirrors part of Trump's executive order requiring proof of citizenship to register to vote. The proposed legislation would also make it a crime for election officials to mistakenly register someone to vote who had not provided proof of citizenship. Critics note that it's already illegal for non-citizens to cast a ballot in federal elections and say requiring proof of citizenship could disenfranchise eligible voters who lack the needed documentation or change their name through marriage. Right, which is the point right here. Right here. That's the key, because guess how many people get shafted that way? Tens of millions. Tens of millions. To justify the redistricting in his state, Governor Abbott cited a letter from Harry Dillon, the head of Justice Department Civil Rights Division, and challenged the legality of 4 existing congressional districts, Dillon said in a statement, clean voter rolls and basic election safeguards are requisites for free, fair, and transparent elections. We already went over this. This is garbage. This is not this is not true. Not true at all. The fact that these people think that they want to pretend like this is to protect elections is laughable. This is not about protecting elections. He said the agency has statutory mandate to enforce our federal voting rights laws and ensuring that the voting public's confidence in the integrity of our elections is a top priority of this administration. It's not, actually. Doing all of this, doing what Trump has been doing, undermines public confidence in the elections. In CA, you have to provide proof of citizenship when you register, not when you vote. Right. Like, you usually do that kind of like by de facto when you get like a license. You have to send that documentation over anyways. So, I mean, it's just redundant, right? It's redundant, and the whole point is to add more hoops. It might not seem like a lot, but it is. It is. And it does have the intended outcome of making sure that, you know, that people don't vote. My point is that democracy has always been a scam. Well, I don't know if democracy is a scam, but they seem to think so. MAGA's undermining confidence in elections so they can take elections to other bodies like courts so they can win when they lack the votes. Yeah, 100%. 100%. They're wrapping their agenda in legal speak, and it seems like it's going to work. Yeah. Trump has been blunt about his partisan goals in Texas, and he suggested other GOP-controlled states should pursue their own redistricting efforts, a move that threatens to set off an all-out redistricting war with Democrats in California and other Democratic-led states. And they should. They should. They're not playing by the rules. And they don't care. The Trump administration's recent actions have unsettled some election officials who have endured years of threats and harassment following the 2020 election, and the conspiracy theories about the election fraud that flourished in its aftermath. Election officials are surfing on quicksand, said David Becker, executive director and founder of the Nonpartisan Center for Election Innovation and Research and a former DOJ voting rights attorney. They don't know what the executive order means, if it has any meaning whatsoever. They don't know if they'll be investigated for just doing their jobs. They don't know if this was vast power of the federal government is to be weaponized against them. They don't know if the Department of Justice is going to be suing them. Trump tried that in 2020 and failed, fortunately. Yeah, but he's got his ducks a little bit more in a row this time. That's the difference in 2020. His first term, the end of his first term, I mean, he was not prepared. He was not as prepared, and it seems like he's moved a lot more. It does not mean that he's going to succeed. I'm just saying, that he's a bit more organized, or at least the fascists are a bit more the fascists that he's hired are more organized than they were last time. They may be clowns, but they're definitely at least they're gonna give it a much more they're gonna give it definitely a better shot than last time. As previously reported by the Washington Post and media outlets in Colorado, Republican election clerks began receiving calls and texts from Small. Small was worked in the Colorado GOP, Lauren Boebert, and for U.S. Interior Department during Trump's first term. Now is a principal with the Denver Public Affairs firm. The county official interviewed by CNN and said Small told him he was researching out specifically Republican clerks in blue states in a push to help advance Trump's executive order. Yeah. Grantham, the election clerk in Fremont County, said Small's outreach to only Republican officials was an early red flag during their conversation. Another concern arose when he said Small mentioned gaining access to the county election equipment. Yep. Globus the Elder, welcome. The fascists who organized behind Trump. Yep, exactly. Welcome, welcome. My response was I didn't believe the president had the authority in the Constitution to write executive orders to affect elections, and until the Supreme Court found that he could, I would not let anybody access my voting equipment. And that right there is luck, honestly, luck. Because if it wasn't that person and perhaps a MAGA loyalist, that could have been different. That could have been different. In Colorado, election officials say there's a heightened sensitivity around who can access election equipment after the high-profile prosecution of former Mesa County election clerk Tina Peters, which we went over. She became a celebrity among pro-Trump activists who advanced false claims that the voting machines had been rigged to flip votes from Trump to then candidate Biden in the 2020 election. Yeah. Driscoll, the Democrat, said Trump's recent action to demonstrate the president is using the power of the federal government to undermine American elections and to undermine voter confidence in them. Yeah, 100%. But, like, what are we going to do about it? The threat against election officials are very real. Representatives of both parties get to review election equipment and procedures right now. Yeah, but like let's be so for real about what the difference is between why, say, a Republican, would want access to that versus, the Democratic official. Assuming that that's, that we're taking that. Let's be so for real as to the reasons why a Republican would want that versus a Democratic candidate or Democratic representative. Does MAGA think all elections are run by Democratic officials? Only the only ones that they lose. Some elderly judge showed up in my line today in a nasty MAGA hat with a photorealistic image of a rapist on it. Oof, made me physically ill. Eesh. Sorry you had to endure that. And sternly worded letters. They're being scribbled as we speak. Oh, maybe typed. Bella Lucrezi, welcome. Alright, folks, we made it. Basically. We got one more, and then we're out of here.
Like, how does a CEO take a 8-figure bonus and none of your employees have dental insurance?
Should billionaires exist? Bill Burr gave his thoughts on a recent podcast, a clip that I'll get to shortly. But first, to lay the groundwork here to help you understand how much $1 billion even is. I discovered this fantastic website that I'm going to link to below the video, and I will likely use this in the future in other videos when discussing how much $1 billion.
Democrat Al Gore won the most votes, 500,000 more than his Republican opponent, but lost the president in the Electoral College. Yeah, almost like maybe perhaps the United States is not is not this beacon of democracy. My food is ready, so I'll pull up the links now. Perfect. We made it, but at what cost? Thank you, Heat. Appreciate it. I know it's kind of a late, unusual time for stream, but thank you. Look at all that, folks. Have you done the things? Have you clicked the links? And maybe the Electoral College was a bad idea. Maybe. Yeah, I'm just... Pesto pasta. Nice. The Electoral College. Yeah.
Dollars is. What does $1 billion look like? Website is the website. Again, I will link to it
thank
below
you.
The video in the description box. This is going to help you understand. And if you ever find yourself in a debate with somebody over should billionaires exist, you should go to this website and force them to scroll through it. So they write here, according to Forbes, as of early March 2023, there were 2,640 billionaires worldwide, 735 in the US alone. Let's get to the representations here. So that's 1 pixel. So think $1, 1,000 pixels, $1,000. Here's a million. That's a lot of money. Now, here's a billion. And if you take note
He
of,
also didn't lose the electoral college either, but that's a whole other story. Gore won the electoral college. Huh. Oh, but the Supreme Court took that away from him, right? Or the Supreme Court basically took it away from him.
the scroll wheel on the side of the page there, we would be here a while if I didn't zoom through this like I am right now. Let's pause, see where we're at. We're at 250 billion.
Like, just to be clear, like $1 billion is an obscene amount of money. Like, it is an obscene amount of money. No one needs $1 billion, okay? Nobody needs $1 billion. It is a for all intents and purposes, it is like infinite money, right? Like just $1 billion, okay? Your children's children's would be set, okay? And there are people with hundreds of billions. Dan Anonymously, welcome. It seems like a number a single night of hypothetical purging could easily reach.
Or 50 million, sorry.
Look at that.
420 million. Do you still support billionaires? 800 million. We're almost there. Just flying down the page here. And there we are. That's $1 billion. And they have another good example here, just how much the top billionaires have. So that dot is 1 billion. And look at Bezos, Musk, Larry Ellison, Bernard Arnault, Warren Buffett, and how much they have.
It's just obscene. There are people living off old royal wealth from 1600s. Yeah, I don't doubt it. Like, if you didn't make a single dollar off that 1 billion, right? Like, let's say if you just had $1 billion, I mean, seriously, like it would be generations upon generations upon generations that would be set without lifting a finger. And the fact that like there's obviously like there's ways of making more money off that billion. Like, I mean, just imagine if you just like had like an interest on that 1 billion from like, I don't know, like a small point, like 6% of that. It's an infinite money glitch. It is literally infinite money. $1 billion, for all intents and purposes, is infinite money. I wouldn't be surprised if we could measure this in comparison with meaningful if there's literally more wealth inequality now than at any point during feudalism's heyday. I mean, that would be interesting.
It's absolutely insane.
To get granular and to really put like pen to paper to kind of look at that. That would be very, very interesting to see.
If you still support the idea that billionaires should exist when there are people who are homeless, when there are people who can't afford healthcare or don't have access to healthcare, I don't know what else to say. It's an absolutely insane system that clearly billionaires have a lot of influence over, or we would not be here. And I'm talking worldwide, because I'm going to get to some data later on showing thoughts from Americans and Canadians on the idea of a wealth tax or taxing the wealthy more. But let me get to this Bill Burr clip. This is on the Vulture podcast, which is called Good One, where he discusses billionaires.
My new perspective is there's nothing wrong with being a billionaire, but if somebody is working 40 hours a week, 160 hours a month, and they can't make their rent, you're not paying them enough money. Maybe you should just be worth 900 million.
Yeah.
Like, how does a CEO take a 8-figure bonus and none of your employees have dental insurance? They can't even go out.
Well, that's the thing. That's how they're a billionaire. By taking away people's health care. By dangling people's health care like that. What's the website? What does $1 billion look like? I can give it to you. I'm going to put it in chat. Yet the great businessman Trump lost $500 million he inherited in about 20 years. And yet he's incredibly wealthy. He's still above $1 billion. Bill's saying the things that need to be said. Oh, 100%.
Out and get a filling. There's these nerd billionaires out there saying, I want my employees to come to work terrified, go to bed terrified, wake up terrified. I mean, you don't think it's that, then they're terrified to go out and spend any money.
All right, so that was shared by the Tennessee Holler on Twitter, and I want to show you just one of the replies, because Twitter, if you're not familiar, is an insane place now. Just a lot of people, whether they're real or bots, I don't know, but defending billionaires, defending Trump, incredibly far right-wing perspectives. But some of the replies are...
Can I share a link to a good short? Yeah, you should be able to.
Like this, just John here. How much money does Bill Burr charge for a ticket to his show? Does he live in a tent? So I looked this up. Bill Burr is worth about $20 million, which is a lot of money. Bill Burr is 50 times closer to being homeless with $0 than he is to being a billionaire. People truly cannot grasp how much $1 billion is. These are not in the same category as even Bill Burr, who's worth 20 million. Nowhere near. There is a reason why there's a particular issue with billionaires and not just your random celebrity who's making a good living. So
right, and because the way the capital class can influence influence people's lives is different. Like they own everything, they control everything. The capital class controls everything. In a way that
I want to start a show to counter program.
In a way Bill Barr could never.
Against Shark Tank, and I would call it guillotine. And what would happen on guillotine is billionaires would sit in front of working class folks like ourselves, and they would have to convince us not to chop their heads off on live television. How much of it are you going to give away? Some of it? No, that's not enough. That's not enough. Bring the blade up.
Reverse Shark Tank.
You're going to give all of it away? Okay. All right. No blade. I want to start a show.
Who is this guy? That guy's funny. Gary Goldman? That's funny. I would watch that show.
Oh, like the amount of money these people have. Elon Musk, Larry Ellison, Mark. But we're talking a couple hundred to over $300 billion. And remember, I showed you just what $1 billion looks like.
Right.
Can you imagine if I had to scroll through
hundreds, man? That's just obscene.
With $300 billion, we would be here all day. But this gets to some of the policy that these people influence. Trump's mega bill will give $117 billion in tax cuts to the top 1%
That's
in
the future the left
2026.
wants.
So, as they write here, this is from the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy. Again, I will link to all my sources below the video. They write here money that could otherwise be paying for rural hospitals, farm support, Medicaid, food assistance, or middle class tax cuts in North Dakota, West Virginia, Maine, and Vermont, states which get relatively little from tax cuts for the very wealthy, will instead be flowing to billionaires in Texas, Florida, California, and New York. In all, if the $117 billion in tax cuts for the richest 1% nationwide were instead redirected evenly among the nation's population next year, each of us would receive $344 or over $1,375 for a family of four. Yet that money is going to billionaires who clearly do not need it. Now, there's a lot of polling on people's thoughts on the wealthy and taxation. This from Gallup. Do you think our government should or should not redistribute wealth by heavy taxes on the rich?
Yep.
52% say yes. I think a lot more people need to see.
Yeah, I
this
mean,
website.
like you can see just how much like we've been captured, through propaganda and whatnot. Like, imagine like only 52% of people are like, yeah, we should tax the rich more. It's wild. Trump has pocketed $3.8 billion since becoming president again. Yep. Must be nice. That sounds like the French Revolution in the 21st century in an alt universe.
Site and understand how much the rich are getting away with, but it's still a majority. Americans' opinions on whether upper income people pay too much or too little in taxes. So a majority at 58% say they pay too little in taxes. And a Fox News survey, so this is from 2019, when this debate around a wealth tax was really focused on. Fox News survey showed that 70% of Americans favor raising taxes on those earning over $10 million, including 54% of Republicans. Now imagine that number if it was 50 million, 100 million. You're just going to get more and more people on board with the obvious. These people need to pay a lot more in tax. Now, on the Canadian side, the idea of a 1% tax on wealth paid by people who have more than 20 million in assets, about 8 in 10 Canadians favor the idea. So this was a poll, I believe, during the pandemic. Yeah. So November 2020, when we were witnessing the wealthy increasing their wealth while everyone else was losing, the support for a wealth tax was at an all-time high. And putting that into figures, this is from policyalternatives.ca. Again, I will link to it below the video. A 1% tax on wealth over 20 million in Canada would generate about 10 billion in revenue in its first year. It could lift hundreds of thousands of people out of poverty, implement long-term increases to funding for important social programs like childcare, healthcare, and seniors care, and help pay for more ambitious climate action. It's just a very obvious thing to do. And again, if there's one thing you take away from this video, it's that website. If you ever find yourself in a debate with somebody over should billionaires exist, you have to bring up that site. Again, what does $1 billion look like .website? Go to that site, force the person you're debating to scroll through the page, and I guarantee you're going to change some minds.
I mean, yeah, maybe. We definitely need a more class consciousness for sure. We definitely need more class consciousness for sure. Rob's here had his 21st January of 1783 solution for millionaires as well. There's already a website that I might still have the link. Let me look. Yeah, if you have it, we can take a quick peek before we get out of here. think Lenin 17, July 1918 solution is more feasible because taking them down with hail of bullets is a lot easier than maneuvering them into scaffold for guillotining them. This has been allowed to last. My link is at 404. It's called Wealth Shown to Scale. Oh, actually, I think I do remember that. I think now it's just like, oh my god, look at this. Move to GitHub. Yes, this is it. This is $1 billion. Can't really see it, but this is $1 billion. This is Jeff Bezos. The wealth of Jeff Bezos. I'm still scrolling. Jeff is so wealthy, it's quite literally unimaginable. We're still going. The reason why Americans consistently underestimate the relative wealth of the super rich. Yep, and look. It doesn't matter. Every 10 pixels you scroll is 5 million. That's crazy. Look at this. Coming up on the end now. Just kidding. That we're about 1/3 of the way. Oh my god. No, I'm not doing this, but Jesus Christ. That was 1/3 of the way. Yeah, like losing a penny between the couch cushions. And he has more than that now. This was 1/3 about the way. And we spent quite a bit scrolling. Now, this is 50 billion, by the way. Whew. Like, actually, my fingers are getting... my hand is getting cramped. From trying to hold the wheel. From trying to hold the mouse. That is crazy. This is 60 billion. Whew. That blue cube is all we'll ever make. All seems small to me as a math major because that busy beaver function iterated a few times dwarfs it. It's rather difficult being rich. If it wasn't for the money, I'd rather be poor. 1 million is 11.5 days. 1 billion is 1 million seconds is 11.5 days. 1 billion seconds is 31.7 years. Bezos' wealth is 4,406 years. I think that's a pretty good, also a pretty good perspective to. This is wild. To show people like the staggering difference, right, between 11 days to 31 years. Right? In perspective to 4,406. That's wild. For that matter, math majors deal with little infinities beyond that in large finite numbers. That is wild. Just the one that someone did. If you made 30,000 a year since Jesus was born, you'd still only have 60 million. $2.15. Oof, that's late. It's getting late. That's late already there, and it's getting late here. Welcome, Firefly. I mean, imagine like 60 million, right? And we're talking like it's just unfathomable amount of money, right? Like 60 million. And we're talking with about people that have hundreds of billions of dollars, like 200 billion, 300 billion. It's just obscene. Ben Lurkin, appreciate that. It is just obscene. All right, folks, it's time for me to get out of here. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate your support. You guys are what makes this channel go. Thank you. Thank you to the folks here on YouTube. Thank you for the folks here on Twitch. Thank you to No Justice for rating on YouTube. Thank you for hanging out, and thank you for bringing your community here. Please go check No Justice on YouTube and on Twitch. Thank you all. check out a couple of good folks here. We have Ground Level News. We have Carpet Packs. We have Globus, The Elder. Please go show some love. Appreciate all of you guys being here. Thank you. Great show. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Mona. Appreciate that. They do less with it than in 1890s did. Yeah. Appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thank you, Heat, for modding the chat. Vanderbilt got GCT in New York City. Nowadays, they just kind of sit on the piles of money, so to speak, in figuratively, like dragons. Appreciate y'all being here. If you want to support the channel directly, check out the merch store. Check out the exclamation mark tip. Join the Discord, folks. Join the Discord. We do movie events. Check out my show on this space tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Appreciate everyone being here. What have any of them built? Misery is what they've built. Misery and an apparatus of control. Catch me tomorrow at this space, 7 p.m. Thank you all for being here. As always, folks, please stay safe. Yeah, Scrooge McDuck style. Exactly. Please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I'll be on. I hope to see you guys in the next one tomorrow, about 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Or, sorry, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on this space. See ya. Nailed it. Hang tight, folks. All right, folks, hang tight. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.
Knows what's going on. What do you want then? I don't think she can catch a bird.